Hey kids, welcome to another GLEN YAPS. Um, this one is about charts. I've touched on this before. I'm going to go into a little deeper this time. Um, I get asked if basically why I'm always reading charts on stage, and the reason is with the band I'm playing with right now is we don't follow sets. We pick songs randomly from a giant, massive list that we've learned over the years, and a lot of the times we pick songs up just on the spot. Someone will request a song from the audience, and we kind of know it. We'll look at each other, and we'll kind of wing it. This band that I'm with does not follow the same formula as a band that plays, say, 4 sets. They have those 4 sets. They work on those at practice. They get them down note for note. They get them, in most cases. Some bands kind of suck at that, but I'm just using this as an example. So if you're a band that just plays 4 sets every weekend on your gig, that's fine. You have time to get them tight and work on them and practice in the basement or in the garage with your fellow bandmates. This band that I'm with does not do that. That's the way we chose to do it, or choose to do it. It's more fun, keeps you on your toes. Then it's different every night. Nothing worse than hearing the bar staff go, I could set my clock by their set list, playing the same songs in the same order every night for 2 years. We don't want to be that. Now, we're guilty of repeating a lot of songs ourselves, but we've also had a couple of member changes the last little while, and so that runs into a snag where any player that's filling in to play with our band, it's just a mind twist because they don't know where the songs are coming from. They can't follow a list. We can give them a whole bunch of the songs to learn, but that doesn't mean we'll be playing them that night. So when you become a member of this band or filling in for this band, it is not an easy task. So this is why I do charts. I love charts. Now, I'm one of these people, like a few of us locally, that learned how to read music, and it can get us by in a pinch. But I also write and create my own form charts. There is a basic notation chart, which gives you all the black notes, but there is a form chart, which is based on lyrics, and also a little bit of putting road signs in that help cue you for a certain part. If you have the music chart, that's basically the music notation with all the black notes. Most of the songs I can follow. Fast songs with a lot of notes, obviously that for me is a little bit tricky, but it does give me the structure of how it's going, whether there's a verse coming up or a stop or a guitar lead, or it does give me enough information to get through the song, maybe not note for note, but it gives me enough information to make that person in the audience at least somewhat happy that we tried to pull this song off. Now, this is just what I use. The other guys in the bands have their own method. Every person has their own method to do this. Oops, computer is giving me a sign here. And anyway, so everybody has their own system. I'm going to show you mine. I've used the same system since I started playing drums. And I know I give my charts to my singer sometimes in the band, but there's a lot of extra information that he doesn't need in there, and he can't possibly understand it as he's going through, but he at least knows how the lyrics go, if there's a space or a stop, and if there's a musical guitar lead. It's all labeled in my, what we call a form chart. So I play in a country rock band that plays a mix of classic rock, new rock, old country, new country. And we have 400 plus songs on our list. And I'm not kidding. I'm going to show you. This has been accumulated over 8 years. Okay, we've been together 8 years in different configurations, but basically, my memory used to be great at learning all these songs when I was like note for note. I was a perfectionist. I was like nuts for getting it perfect, perfect, perfect. But I came into the situation a few times with certain bands where the catalog was so ginormous and always revolving or rotating that it's difficult to get 400 songs into your brain. Even if half of them you knew and the other half you didn't. To get those into your noodle and remember them is difficult. In the early days, I could remember most of the stuff, and I can still remember songs that I learned when I first started playing. But now that I'm 60, um, up here is a little too crammed now. So I start to lose a bit of memory on some of the newer songs that I'm trying to get my brain wrapped around. So I need charts. And some people call that cheating, whatever. You know, reading music has been around since basically music. So it's just part of the process. It's a snobbish thing that started in, I think it was the rock players that, it's like, oh no, we can't do that. You got to go by this, but whatever. Whatever gets you through the gig. I want to make people happy in the audience, and I want to be able to at least get through some of these songs. If I play this song once a year, I'm not going to keep practicing it for 365 days just to play it once a year. I'm not going to do it. I have better things to do on a drum set and learn than one song I'm going to play one time in 1 year. Okay? That's just stupid. So if my memory can't grasp that song, then I'm going to have a chart for it. So whenever we do rip that out, I go on the chart, and at least I can get through it with some kind of logical approach that I can go beginning to the end and make it sound like I somewhat know what I'm doing. But I cannot depend on just in 1 year's time trying to remember every note to, say, a Rush song that I've played once, and then I play it, a year later once again. That's just not going to happen. Okay, so having a chart saves the day. So the other complication is I sing a lot of the backup vocals in this band. So I have lyrics to worry about and what the drumming is doing under the lyrics. So this is why I write form charts, which include the lyrics, which include certain important drum parts, to help me at least sound like the two parts I'm doing are uniform, but it also gives the band a little bit of subtle cues to know the changes are coming, because the drummer's part is basically to keep time, but also to help cue when things are coming. And now that we have a new bass player in the band, the cueing is now upped a bit. We had to do that with a new singer, 3 years ago. So there's always cueing involved with the drums. So it's an instrument that stands out when cues are happening, whether it be a drum fill, a shot, or throwing the stick at somebody. So anyways, this is a scoop. Now I'm in a country band also, and I took that on at a last second thing. They were in trouble for a drummer, had some gigs. They weren't happy with the player they had, and so they asked me if I knew any drummers, and I said, yeah, me. I said, I'll do it. So I had basically, I think it was a week to learn 40 songs. So I charted them. So I'm going to give you a little idea with that. Now, the charts for the country band are form charts, which are based on the lyrics and also based on drum parts or certain characteristics in the song that stand out to my ears that I wrote down. Like, say, country is notorious for these climbs, boom, 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 or intro stabs, what I call chirps. which would be like, you'd be like 1, 2, blump, blump, and then they go into the song. It might be a violin or fiddle chirp. It might be a guitar, blump, 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 and then go into the song. So country music, especially the older country, is full of those kind of accents. So it's easy to chart that, okay, it's got 2 violin or 2 fiddle chirps to come in. Um, or sometimes you can relate it to another song that's stuck in your head. It's like, wow, that sounds like this. Like I know one of the country songs has this steel guitar. We have a steel player in the band, and it has this rhythm that reminds me of a very old swing song called by the Andrews Sisters, the Bugle Boy song. So I don't have to write or transcribe that. All I have to do is put above that area for that intro, the count, obviously, but I put Bugle Boy in quotations or underline it, or some kind of cue like that to go, okay, it's got that kind of feel. Boom, then I come in. So as long as I have some type of mental reference for me to cue into the feel of that song until I get used to the song. I've never heard the song before, this particular country song. Never heard it in my life. So when I write charts, I start writing them right away. I don't listen to the song more than, one time when I'm writing charts. Like in the sense when I get started. It's like, it's not like I sit there and listen to it and, there might be the odd time I do that. I start writing the chart right away. I just go cold turkey, I start. And all I do is I go a little bit at a time. So that might be that intro. Well, we know it's going to probably be a 4 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, in. So I basically do everything from that 4 count onwards and try and do it step by step until I reach the end of the song. So I don't even try and drive that song into my head. I learn it section by section by writing a chart and getting used to the piece each section at a time. So if the intro is that Bugle Boy type thing, I'll play that over and over and over until it gets in and I get the chart, that section, written to the way my ears will hear it and my eyes will see it on the chart. Whether it sticks in there or not, the test will come when I go on stage with the band. I still have the backup as a chart. So as long as I can see something, if my brain fails me, I can see it, I'm good. Okay? So next might be, that's the intro. So now it might be the verse. So then you do the whole section of the verse. You write down the lyrics. It's easy nowadays. You can find the lyrics online and copy and paste them. That's fine. Make sure all the words are the same pronunciation or the same words as the song that you're actually learning. Because some transcriptions of words are totally wrong. Some of the phrasing might change a whole sentence. If you're too lazy to check that, then you're going to crash and burn. I actually go through the lyrics and write and make sure all the lyrics are right. For the most part, 99.9% of the time, I make sure that's true. That way, if I give it to my singer, he knows the phrasing, he knows how that goes. Now, sure, I might screw up the odd time, but sometimes it might be that the song is so basic for me that the lyrics are not as important as maybe just some of the drum parts. Okay, that happens too. But for the most part, I'm usually pretty accurate with all that. So then, as you go through all that, charting it out, I chart it out on computer. I'll show you quick what I do on screen. On screen, we have my text editor. In this case, it's Windows-based. It's a WorkPad. This is my music player. Up here, up in the top corner. That's how I get the tempos for the song. It's a software program. You tap the space bar along with the song while it's playing. It will give you the beats per minute. Okay? You can go online to a software site called, I guess it'd be a software site called TuneBat. And there's other sites too, but they will give you the beats per minute of every song ever written. So within 3 points. Okay?
So because songs in the old days varied, they weren't click tracks, tempos changed. But they'll give you the ballpark, and you can plus or minus it live. But then you can write the beats per minute in your chart, so you know if you got a metronome like I use live to start certain songs, you at least know that's the speed of the song. So you don't goof up and play it too fast or too slow. Okay, so that's what I do. So use the old mouse. So watch, I'm going to click the player. We'll do a song here. I'm just doing this quick. Nice stop it. So we know one big accent at the start, one big note, and it holds. So the whole purpose of this now is to count how long that space is before the first riff comes in. And it sounds like that riff happens twice before any vocals. So this is what you got to do. You got to write this stuff down. So let's just guess that it's, 8 bars. Let's try it. So you already know the tempo is right? So if I want to get my tempo, I tap the space bar along with the music if I wanted. So watch. This is all you have to do, and it'll register in the software. So watch. Okay, roughly, here's the tempo, 125. You can see where my cursor is. So that's the ballpark. That's the ballpark. So when you're working downstairs, you go, okay, well, that's roughly the tempo, give or take a mark or two, and you write that into your chart. So beats per minute. Beats per minute. I just typed that in. Okay, now all I have to do is go back, listen to that first hit. We're going to just say it feels like the song is in 4/4 time. So you're just going to count 4, okay, for the band, and then you're off. So let's see if we can get roughly how many bars or that first after that shot is. There are, sorry. So basically count to 4 times. Now there's obviously no click in there, so it's kind of a little shady, but we can almost guess that it's a 4 count. The first hit is number 1. Three, four, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Did you get that? Well, write that on your chart. So we're going to go shot, then we're going to type in the word verse.
Verse 1.
Now my hands are shaking. I'm doing this all with one hand, so I'm not going to type all the words to the song for you, but that's how it starts. So I start typing in the lyrics. Or if I find a lyric chart online, then I copy it and paste it, and I edit that chart to live in hell until it fits the song exactly with all the drum parts that are important. Because right now you can tell the drum beat is straight. I don't have to write the notes for that. I can just write the word straight. Straight, that means kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare. You know, unless there's some really strange, weird offbeat in there, this will get me through the gig, playing the song one time on stage. Where I don't have to spend 6 hours learning this song. I can at least have the chart, go through it, and gradually get it into my head as the weeks go on as we play it. Okay? So that's how we start it. So I'm going to show you on my tablet. This is what's on stage with me all the time. So I have Soundcheck's master list, 448 songs. Now some of those are double charts, meaning a form chart like this with the lyrics, or actual drum transcriptions where I can actually follow the exact drum parts. Some of these are my own songs that I work on. This is Out and Out Country Songs, my other band. We have 47 songs. And jam night songs, because we host jam nights on Thursdays. We have a bunch of songs that we need charts for that we do with other people that I don't do with the band on a regular basis. It might be girl singer songs or whatever. Okay, so let's do simple country ones right now. This program actually, does things in alphabetical order, which is great. So let's go with this Killing Time song, maybe. I'd never heard this song before. So Killing Time, I have my beats per minute, 121. Hopefully you can see that. Hopefully there's not a glare. I'll try and go like this just in case. So basically I've got the kick drum pattern, which is basically kind of a rock feel to it. The music goes for 2 bars. This song is in 4/4. That means when you're counting 2 bars, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's just counting the 4s in a basic 4/4 song. In this one, the word cross means cross stick on the snare. Means I'm not hitting the snare with a full stick. I'm taking it and going across the snare and hitting the rim. Okay. And then when you get loose in Killing Time, there's a pause there before this drum fill. You count, it's a bar plus 1 note, then the fill. So the drum fill takes up, most likely, you'll feel it in the song, but it takes up that second bar. So it's basically 2 bars. Now, if I've got to sing a part, I underline the line, or sometimes I'll put it in capitals. So this Killing Time, there's harmony vocals there. So I know with an underlined segment, I'm singing backups there. Okay? Then I add these other ones in here, rock beat. Basic, when I say rock beat, it's boom, ba, boom, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, boom, ba. Basic rock beat. Then we're back to the intro, music, 2 bars, which is basically the same kind of music that's being played here in most cases. And then an intro riff, okay? Which is great intro riff. Back to cross stick. Another harmony line. More harmony lines. Another count before the drum fill. You want the drum fill to come in right. You're basing on this last word. After that last word is spoken on the syllable, you start counting. All right. Now this is the most basic one. So usually when I put the word in brackets like this, it means there's some kind of shot or a tom hit, And see, I've got little arrows pointing, crash on this word. This helps you cue with the guitar player and the bass player, because they're probably accenting those words also. And then retard to ands, it's kind of just means slow down. Now that chart is so easy. Never heard the song before. I charted this out, and I even recorded me playing this the first time, and it sounded like I knew the song already for a while. Now, it may not have been totally perfect, but no one in the audience said, holy shit, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. And I'm not talking ego. You're given the roadmap. How can you screw up? You're given the roadmap. You wrote the roadmap. Okay? So if you can't follow your own roadmap, there's something wrong. Okay? So let's go with a trickier one. There's one here called In Color. Okay. Again, in color, beats per minute. A really slow groove. That gives you know, the road sign saying, okay, that's not going to be a fast, upbeat dance tune. Slow groove means slow. It's definitely more about the message in the song than it is dancing to it. So music only. There's nothing to do with drums starting here. So music only, I can keep time with my hi-hat. That means that somebody in the band is starting that song. So all I have to do is count in 4 and keep the hi-hat beat at 130, because I've got a metronome here. Oops, sorry. Metronome right here. I've already programmed it at 130. So this is what I do. 2, 3, and 4. Now we know it's slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it says slow, I'm counting that differently. If it was a fast song, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. But I said slow, so we cut those beats in half. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay? So that gives me my slow song tempo. So here we go. I've wrote in words. Now this program here, you can write, you can add markers. You can add markers here and scribble on here and give yourself some cues, and that's what I do after. It's beautiful. Sometimes I do it on the computer, because the computer has the ability to highlight. So watch. I'll bring my, let's say let's go this first. Say there's something important there. I can highlight it with green, like that, if you want, for the lettering. Or let's undo that. Or we can highlight it totally, just like this. I prefer this, easier to see. And it's just a highlighter pen, and the highlighter pen will transform when you finish this and save it to input into this. It's totally up to you. Or you can use the scribble like this. I have an electronic pen that I use on this tablet, and that's why I do all these goofy charts. Okay, so there's no drums in here, but we know there's a crash here because that's how I charted it. Another crash. Crash, 2, 3, 4, crash, 2, 3, and there's the slow fill. And this is the beat. Kick, snare, no kick there, snare again. Add a military snare a little bit. That's like a little bit of a drum ruff. That's basically like a drum rudiment term. Now there's vocals in all here, harmony vocals. Okay, drum fill. Now looks and couple. There's a shot, so I'm putting shots on those two words. I know there's something coming here. It's a drum fill. color, 1 bar fill. A picture's worth 1,000 words. See, everything is cued out. Shades on that. Covered. Anytime there's a word in a bracket, it's either a shot or a type of drum fill. Here's the lead. Goes for 4 or 3 bars. Stop on the number 1 of the 4th bar. Then wait another bar, and then basically stop. That's my cue to stop playing, because the next section has no drums. Now, I still will probably keep time with the hi-hat. Depends on how secure the band is. If they are kind of loosey-goosey and not sure how to play the space, then I'm going to keep time. I'm going to be their metronome. Then we come back in with a cross-stick groove, which is the same groove as everywhere else. Now, out of everywhere, here comes a bridge, a one part that happens like once in the song. Again, it's different chords. That's not labeled here, but I could label, you know, saying a drastically different chord change here. But the bridge follows the same feel as the rest of the song. But if it was drastically different, even drum-wise, I would transcribe either the drum part or have a reference to another song that it kind of sounds like. So you got to build up and fill for 2 bars. So you can build up for the 1 bar, and the 2nd bar is your drum fill. You've got 2 bars to mess with. You can have a shorter build or a longer build, but normally you can feel it how the band is doing it. But you only have 2 bars to do it. Simple math. Count to 4 twice. If you're not done by then, you're in trouble. Then back to singing here. There's a build, fill again. Again, shots. Now on this word can't, I have the word stop with a little arrow. That's my cue, circled in red. Then it comes in on the word shades. I have the word fill. Right there with arrows to the word shades. Okay? And again, another lead. Picture's worth 1,000 words, can't. These are shots again. Shades, fill. There's a fill. I might have missed that one in the original chart, so I put it in afterwards. Covered. And then 4 bars of music and stop 1 of the 5th bar. And then a cymbal wash. So that's how that works. That's a form chart. That's a basic form chart. I've got some more advanced ones, but that's all how you want to make the chart so you yourself understand it. So let's go into Soundcheck's library, which is, like I say, vast. People don't understand this. They wonder, oh, they're out there, the musicians will say, well, why aren't you doing it note for note? I'll tell you why we're not doing it note for note, because no one in the audience gives a shit. They really don't. I used to be a perfectionist. I was a perfectionist for note, and you know what? The only ones that cared about that were actually the musicians. I cared about it because it was a challenge to me to get the songs as close to the original as possible, and it was also a teaching tool. It taught me to get to the next level by learning these songs perfect. But the audience themselves, most of them, they care about the lyrics and the singing. They couldn't tell you what the drum part is. They couldn't. So when I get you know, musicians come out to me, well, it's not quite note for note and stuff like that. Yeah, I know that. But you're not playing 450 songs, you know. We're not a band that plays the same 12 songs each night. Each set is 12 songs, always the same order. We're not robots. We don't do it like that. And there's no way your brain's going to get 450 songs perfect when you only play them once a year or twice a year. So I like the challenge of this, and the charts are pretty accurate for the most part. Sure, I'm going to miss some stuff, but the audience does not know it. Okay, so let's go. We just started playing, let's see here, Pour Some Sugar on Me, right here. Now I have a lyrics chart, and I have a regular chart. So I'm going to show you the lyric chart. Now this is the form, what they call the form chart, right? 176 is the beats per minute. Okay, and I have that. I don't have that actually in there. So hold on. I have it on my other chart because I haven't really followed this particular chart yet. So here we go. We're going to put oops. So 176 is in there. Apply. Now every time I open this song, it's going to be at that. The reason why I haven't done that or corrected that is because I've been using this chart because we've only been playing this song a couple of times. So there is the drum chart for Pour Some Sugar on Me. Now I read this. So 176 is up here, and see, it's already in this particular chart. It wasn't in the lyric one because I haven't really paid attention to the lyric one yet. Because some of the words I know, and to be honest, some of the parts I cannot sing and play yet, but we'll get them. It's more important for me right now to drum the song correctly than it is to sing a backup vocal correctly. The lead singer's got that part covered. He's got his own charts. And for me, it's to get the drums right. So as you can see, there's these two notes here. We do a different version. Pour Some Sugar on Me. There are multiple versions of this song when they released it. There's the long version, the radio version, and a couple other versions. So these right here are not played. I don't have to mark that. I already know it in my head. But even if you did play them, they wouldn't be wrong. We start with a vocal chant that Def Leppard does. And then we come right into this. These are not there. So, but this was the only chart I could find online. And to be honest, the chart is pretty damn accurate. That's not always the case. Sometimes I'm editing some of this stuff. But this is a really good chart. So this song is fairly slow, so you can read the numbers. Boom, boom, ah, boom, boom, ba, boom, boom, ah, boom, boom, da. So basically, you're in 4/4 time. So each bar is 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. If there was any change in time signatures, it would be listed. I don't believe there's anything off time in this off the top of my head. It's got your slow fills, kick drum fills. This song is pretty much a groove song with the odd, funky little fill. Even the fills, you don't have to do those correctly as long as you're counting the bars. If you come out of this, your own fill, and come back in on the 1, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 counts right here. So as long as you come back in on 1 with the beat, you can put any fill in here, and if you count mathematically, you will be still correct in coming in time back to this fill. Okay? Now there's lots of vocal stuff at the end of this. So it's pretty easy to get lost. So if you start soul searching if your band starts soul searching, you kind of look at each other and just do 4 vocals, 8 vocals. You know, you can edit it any way you wish to get out with the band all ending at the same time. So a lot of drum charts don't tell you where the verses are. I had to write them in, verse, chorus. Now these bars right here are repeat bars, which means you read this whole line, and when you get to that double bar thing, that means go back to here again and repeat it. Just means repeat it once. There's little numbers here. These are two endings. Number 1, number 2. So if I'm going through the verse, I go through here once. It says repeat. Go back to here. Now I go through the whole thing. I don't go to this ending. I go to number 2 ending. So I go from here to here. So the first time is through, right to the first ending here. Repeats. Go all the way through. Skip over that ending. You've already done it. You want to go here now. And there's no repeat here, so now you continue on. This is like a musical thing. Ba-da-da-da. And then your chorus. Pour some sugar on me. Right here. Pour some sugar on me. Now, I know the song. I've heard it on the radio enough. and I have the album. I've never learned it. I'm just reading the chart live. I'm going to be learning while I play it and get used to it. Okay? I've not played this on the drums at home at all. So we've played it now, I think, 2 or 3 times live. I have not played this song to the record. I want to test my own reading ability, and I can get through this just by playing the drum parts to make it sound passable. It's not note for note. I might miss a couple parts, okay? Because I am singing. So I'm trying to focus on this as much as possible. So here's another one of these parts where we go through it and we have the repeat. This is actually another verse, just like up here. Verse. I don't have to mark it a second time because I know how the song is actually going. It's going to go with a verse. So basically here we go. We've got ending number 1, goes back to the repeat, go through it again, skip this ending, go to the second ending, number 2, and then continue on. Continue on. Right? And we know that chorus is in here. Now we have a musical break. Now this musical break, the drumming in this is imperative that I play this more than I sing. But there are a lot of vocals in here, and this is the part that's hard for me to sing and play, but my singer has to cover it. So sometimes he has to sing the main vocal and then the call and answer. Because look at all the kick drum stuff. You know, it's just until I get, because that's, all this stuff affects your breathing when you're singing. So you have to get used to this whole thing, playing it, and then get used to singing it and breathing it properly. So this whole break, there is a lot of kick drum in here. Okay? So then we move on back here, more chorus. And it's pretty basic chart. The drum beats aren't hard. In here is definitely tricky. So while I'm drumming, sometimes you can increase, decrease the size, trying to get it. While you're playing it, you can do this. I can't turn the tablet sideways, obviously, but I could just go like I'm drumming with one hand, no pun intended, while moving this and getting through it. So it's that slow enough tempo that I can drum this song one hand and move this. No problem. Okay, some fast songs, that's not quite as easy. All right. So then we go back to the actual lyrics. Now there's a lot of lyrics in this song, but I did still write the intro, chords and drums 4 bars, music 4 bars, stop. Okay, so there's 8 bars there, and then stop. Then they start singing, right? Then 2 riffs. Hey, pretty basic. But look at how many lyrics. There are a lot of lyrics in this song. This gives a breakdown. This is of that whole wild drum section. Now this tells you the structure of it, but it doesn't tell you the drum beats to play. So you can put anything in here as long as you follow this chart and come out in time, you end up in here. So I tell you how many times it goes. 2 bars, 2 times through, climb down 2 bars. So there's no reason why you can't follow through. So, bom, 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 ba bom, bom. That's your ending. Yeah. So I've got charts for certain ones, abbreviated charts on songs like Pink Houses. We play that once in a while. SCP charts. Now, Plush we don't play too often. And if you're not sure of the beat, you can just, if it's only that beat you're not sure of, just for a refresher, you can just boom, boom, ah, boom, you know. You can get a refresher just by looking at the one bar, and you know that happens a lot in the song. If it's not in your head, you can't think of it. How does that go? How does that go? So, and there's some other ones like let me think here. Now, some songs I've transcribed the song myself. Let's see here. This one here. So this one I did, transcribed it in 2018. This is just the kind of the intro to finish what I started, the funky drum parts that Alex Van Halen does in this song. The rest of the song is kind of straightforward. I have the structure written here, right here, but the intro has this da 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 boom ba boom ba boom ba boom boom ba boom ba da boom ba boom ba ba boom ba ba boom ba boom ba. So it's got that kind of thing. If you can sing it, you can play it, right? So that goes down. Now, we don't play the song very often. In fact, I don't think we've played it more than once in the year 2022, maybe 2 or 3 times, because one of our fill-in bass players wanted to sing it. Now, that's just the first part. This funky drum pattern happens twice in the song. So part 2, this isn't how the song goes totally all the way through. It stops right here. That's just this first part, and then it goes to the verse, the chorus, the verse, the chorus. So then middle part 2. As soon as you see middle part 2, you go back up to middle part 2, and it has that same riff. Da-da-da-da-da, boom, ba, boom, boom, da, da, dee, da. Okay? And you follow through, and then he's got a tom thing here, ba, 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 and then back in, baby, come on. Okay? Or no, chorus, sorry, right here, chorus. So I don't know if that's too alien or hard to see. Hopefully you can see this. Anyways, that's how I do it. That's why I do it. I find it fun. I mean, some people say, just learn the song. It's not that easy. We play a lot of songs. I play in a lot of bands. I play in a lot of projects. I do a lot of fill-in stuff. Some songs just don't stick in my head. If someone asks me to do a fill-in and I've got, say, 3 days, to get 40-something songs in my head to fill in for a band, I'm never going to be able to remember 40 songs. And most people wouldn't even bother learning. But I'm that type of person that I will chart out 40 songs to help that band get through the gig, to make it at least sound like I know what I'm doing, so they don't go into shock mode. Because I've seen some people fill in that have no clue on what they're doing. We've had fill-ins come in that have no clue what they're doing. And then you spend your entire night having to, I hate to use the word babysit, but you're babysitting. Now, when you're joining a band that you've never seen before, don't know the repertoire, the band has to cue you in some ways. They have to give some love to the fill-in person. They can usually get through it somewhat professionally if they have some help from the band. So you got to cue them on the intro, you got to cue them on the stop, even if it's just a head nod, or even a get ready to stop kind of thing, or throw like this, or accent the shots on the drums. There's so many ways that you can make their life easier. You can also, that player can make your life easier if they watch that stuff. If you're just one of these people that's just going to go on stage, not know anything, and just hope for the best, you're going to fuck it up. Okay? When you're on the level we are in this city, it's like you're going to fuck it up. So if you can learn 40 songs note for note in 3 days and pull it off, that's great. I've done that before in my earlier years, but now life is more busy, more complicated.
So I would rather chart the songs, have my safety net in place. If I have time to get those songs more in my head, I will play them more. But nothing beats a chart, and that chart will always be there if you ever need it for another band. Log them onto your computer, and you can pull it out, throw it in your software, and you're golden. You have it for all time. So it's not like I have to go on my memory for thousands of songs that I've learned since 1977 when I started playing. No, I cannot memorize all the songs I've played. I remember bits and pieces. I remember listening to the song, but there are some songs that even my guitar player says, "Well, we played this back, back in the '90s," and it just doesn't click with me. It's probably one of those deals where we never played the song more than twice or three times, for whatever reason. Some songs you learn and they don't work out with the band, so you still have the chart. But when you played it with the band, it might not have worked, or vocally it wasn't our style, and it couldn't do it. We just couldn't perform vocally right, and that's normally the case. Vocally is, if it doesn't work vocally, then you usually push it away because you don't want to kill your singer. So you find songs that are easy for the singer to sing and comfortable, and if they don't work for the singer, you just kind of move on. But yeah, we've never not done a song because the drums were too hard, or because the guitar was too hard. That was never an issue. It was always, usually it was a vocal thing because you don't want to strain the singer's voice, because then you're kind of screwed. So anyways, that is what I do. That's why I read charts. Call it cheating if you want, but it's a challenge. I find it challenging. I get a lot out of writing charts. I hear more in the songs as I'm charting these songs out than I would just sitting there in my chair listening to a song and just going, yeah, I can hear the song. It's nice, When I'm taking it apart piece by piece, I hear more of the other instruments in there. I understand what they're doing and how they connect to my drum parts. And you don't get that unless you're dissecting the song. I try and tell my singer this too, because he's still learning the craft of being in a band, because he's been a solo guy for so long. But there are so many instruments parts that are blending with other parts, and you have to try and understand why that's happening. And listen for those cues, because they do give cues in the song. So anyways, that's my scoop. It's the method to the madness, I guess. But if you're one that can memorize the songs all, that's great. I can do that too, but it's just more comfortable this way for me at this stage of the game. I'm 60 now. I want to enjoy the drums. I don't want to spend hours in the basement learning a song that I'm only going to play once. I'm not going to waste 8 hours getting it memorized note for note and play it once, and then it's never heard of again, except maybe a year or two down the road. Then I'm going to have a chart. If I'm going to waste that much time on it, I'm going to have a chart. It's going to be a backup, because I've got other things to think about and remember memory-wise that happen every day or every second day or third day or every month than that one song that I'm not recalling. So you have to weigh the odds. Now, if I get criticized, it's funny, I used to get criticized for doing it note for note, because I used to drive people nuts, because in my bands, I wanted everything note for note. And now I get criticized for not doing it note for note. So I mean, I'm not out to make anybody happy, and when it comes to how I learn songs, I play drums and enjoy it for myself. If people enjoy the songs, which they do, then those musicians that are the nitpickers can, go look and watch another band. In fact, I don't see musicians out at our gigs too much. So the critics of how we do stuff, they don't even come to our gigs. So they might be watching the videos we post online. But the whole point is, we like to keep the songs evolving, revolving, evolving and revolving. So we get better on stage playing each song each time we play it each week. Sometimes we throw our own input into it. There's some songs that I've played, like David Wilcox and Tragically Hip. I've played them as long as those bands have been playing them, since they wrote them. So I'm not going to play it note for note anymore. I'm absolutely bored with it, and I'm going to do my own thing in it. I'm going to find out if I can add some subtleties to make the song exciting for me, and hopefully that conveys to the audience. Sure, note for note musicians are going to be, writing down things with their magic marker. I know. I was a perfectionist before. I know the whole spiel. I went through it. But at 60 years old, my mentality changed. I wanted to have some fun with it. I'm not going to win any brownie points by doing it note for note anymore. And I want to know what I can do. So I know the cover songs, sometimes that's taboo. So some bands, like Rush and stuff like that. Sure, I understand that. Those are staples. But to the average person in the audience and the average song that's on the radio that we play, I don't even see the original artist doing it note for note. So you're in this kind of gray area, we'll say. So I'm just showing you what I do, what the charts, the mentality behind it, and just saying that charts are not taboo. I find them a saving grace, especially in a pinch, because I love to fill in for bands, and I like to at least get through 40 songs, with charts, with at least an idea of how the roadmap is going through that song, so they can at least have a good time and not worry as much. I don't have to learn I don't have to know the song note for note to make them feel comfortable. What I have to do is know when the starts are, the shots, the stops, and the outro and the endings. That's what I have to know. They're not worried about if the drum fill is correct at, 0.30 on that chart. They're unless it's some drastic signature fill, then I'll have it written out. But for the most part, they just want to have a good time too without, having to pull their hair out. So that's what I do, and it's always worked, always. So sure, you get caught a couple of times, and there's some boo-boos where the band might do a slightly different version, edited version. I mean, I got caught one time doing My Sharona by the Knack. Now, my thing is I always learn the album version, okay? So, because back in the day, the single version on the radio was cut. They wanted to keep songs in the 4-minute mark, so they would cut sections out. The cut version of this song that this band did cut out most of the guitar solo part. Well, that whole guitar solo part has a whole drum thing with it. So I got caught on stage where all of a sudden, boink, they were back into the song, and I was like just getting ready to do all the drum parts. So at the end of the set break, we were talking about, and I go, okay, you guys do we joke about, we call it the CKCY version. CKCY was a radio station here in town, and they played these cut versions, right? And I said, you did the CKCY version of that. And I go, what do you mean by that? And I go, well, it's like AM radio used to put cut versions of those songs out, and you've learned that version. There's actually a whole extra guitar lead. So the band freaks out and looked into it, and then they started doing the longer version because they knew, wow, there's a whole great part in here that we're missing. So they learned it and did the long version and with their own drummer. But I've heard other bands do the short version. A lot of bands used to buy these KTEL albums. KTEL was just a company that put out a greatest hits albums of the day, like greatest hits of the 70s or whatever. And they wanted to put as many songs on these albums as possible, and they would cut them, splice them. A 4-minute song might have been cut down to 3 minutes. They would take a whole minute out of the song. So some bands would actually learn these KTEL album verses, and when they go on stage, you would freak out because they would cut a whole minute out of these songs because of this album version they learned. They didn't learn off the artist's album. They learned it off this greatest K-Tel greatest hits package, and those were taboo. And sometimes they used to speed them up and change the pitch, so when they put them on the album, they were actually at a different pitch. They were playing faster. Anything to do to squeeze more songs on one album to make more money and royalties is crazy. So anyways, that's the scoop, and hopefully you're not asleep while listening to this mess. Thanks for watching.